This case definitely has some sensitive content in it, so here is your trigger warning now. This is 8-year-old Cherish Periwinkle, and on June 21st of 2013, she was abducted from a Walmart. Now, as a background story, Rain Periwinkle is Cherish's mother, and she also has 3 other daughters, including Cherish. Now, her and her husband had recently divorced, and she was just really struggling at the time financially, and she took her kids on June 21st of 2013 to a Dollar General to shop for some clothes and things that they needed. At the checkout at the Dollar General, Rain was struggling to find enough money in her purse to pay for all of the children's clothing. This is where 56-year-old Donald James Smith comes into the story. Now, at the checkout, Donald offered Rain to take her and her children to Walmart nearby and buy her and her children all some outfits and basic essential items that they needed. And he said that he had some gift cards and that his wife would meet them pretty shortly after at Walmart to shop with them. Rain felt uncomfortable and a little skeptical about the situation, but she decided to go ahead with Donald because of the fact that she felt comforted that he had a wife that was on her way to the Walmart as well. This is all CCTV footage from Walmart of Donald at Walmart with Rain and her 3 children, and specifically Cherish. It was getting close to 10 p.m. and Donald's wife had not shown up yet, and the children were getting pretty hungry, so Donald offered to go next door to McDonald's and buy Rain and her daughters a meal to get them by until his wife got there. Now, when Donald went to the McDonald's next door, he took Cherish with him. Like and follow for a part 2.
I cannot believe it's been 7 whole years since little Nathan O'Brien, who was only 5 years old at the time, and his grandparents Alvin and Catherine Lickness went missing from their own home. For 2 weeks, the Amber Alert that went out completely shook all of Canada. Everyone was looking for this family. I remember it, and I was living in Eastern Canada at that time, over in New Brunswick. They were in Alberta, which is like all the way over on the other side of the country. This case was everywhere at the time, but I didn't even know all of the details of what happened to them until I looked at it today. So on June 29th, 2014, little Nathan O'Brien, who was such a grandma's boy, like he adored his grandmother, had the choice from his parents of whether he wanted to go to the zoo or spend time with his grandparents, and he chose his grandparents, which I just think speaks to what a wonderful child Nathan must have been. That afternoon, he was spotted at the park with his grandfather playing, and then that evening, he asked his mother if they could all have a sleepover at his grandparents' house. His mother, Jennifer, said yes, and she was actually going to stay at the family house too. But around midnight, her little one started acting up, so she gathered him up and took him home, leaving just Nathan and his grandparents at the house. And honestly, when I read that, that gave me such chills for what happened next. The next morning around 8 a.m. when Jennifer showed up at her parents' house to collect her son, it was apparent a violent act had happened inside it overnight. There was blood all over the house, and on the way out the door, there was a smeared small handprint. Catherine, Alvin, and their grandson were all missing. Jennifer frantically called police, who told her to get in her car immediately and lock the car doors because someone could still be in the house. Police arrived and searched the home several times just because if Nathan had gotten scared, they thought maybe he's hidden still somewhere in the house, too scared to come out, but he wasn't there. Police determined that all 3 of them were alive when they left the house, even with the blood left on the scene. So they immediately issued an Amber Alert. This Amber Alert would be lifted in about 2 weeks on July 14th, not because they found Nathan or his grandparents. In fact, they would never fully find Nathan or his grandparents, but because police had their suspect in custody. This is Douglas Garland. He was 57 years old at the time, and he was actually a previous employee of Alvin, Nathan's grandfather. His sister had actually called police on him because his truck was similar to the one they'd been looking for. While police held Garland in jail over a fake ID charge that had happened years before, they searched his farm. Well, I shouldn't say his farm. He was still living at his parents' farm at 57 years of age in their basement, but anyways. But personally for me, what police would end up finding at this farm really makes me wonder if this was the first crime like this that Garland had committed.
This is the most dangerous woman in the UK today, a serial killer by the name of Joanna Dennehy. Joanna's story first starts when she meets a man called Lucas. The two of them started flirting. She quickly invited him back to her house. Joanna got Lucas drunk and then told him that she wanted to play a game. She then proceeded to blindfold him and lead him to the bathroom. But the next thing he knows, Joanna has pulled a knife out and suddenly starts savagely attacking him, one of which went straight in his heart and killed him immediately. With the help of her accomplice, Joanna then moved her victim's dead body to a bin outside her house. Of course, as the body started decomposing, the smell started getting all over the street, so she ended up moving the body to a random ditch in the middle of nowhere. But it wouldn't be there alone for much longer, because in the coming days, Joanna added a second and a third victim. After killing her third victim, Joanna went on the run, knowing that it was only a matter of time until police were onto her. But she wasn't done killing just yet. Every so often she would stop the car, get out and run and find a random member of the public and start savagely attacking them. She was attacking as many people as she possibly could, and then all of a sudden she heard sirens, and they're getting louder and louder, and soon all of this would be over. And if you want to learn a bit more about this case, I did a 2-part series on YT.
Here's an extremely insane case. There's gonna be a lot of parts, and warning, this is extremely disturbing. So this is Jasmine Richardson. I'm covering a gun right now because I don't want to get it taken down. She's a 12-year-old girl from Medicine Hat, Alberta, Canada. So this is her prior to meeting her boyfriend. Her parents described her as a sweet Catholic honors student. But then she went to her goth phase and went on vampirefreaks.com and met this guy, Jeremy, who is 23 years old, and she's 12. Well, he definitely was pretty odd. He wore a vial of blood on his neck because he claimed he was a 300-year-old werewolf. He also was a high school dropout who lived in a trailer. So apparently she and Jeremy met up at a mall after talking on vampirefreaks.com, and from there, they basically loved each other. The parents did not approve of this. They grounded her, sent her to counseling, took away her computer. Go check out part 2 on my page.